Okay, so I just got done watching King-Ohger episode 37, Iroki's Rebellion. So for the past couple of episodes of King-Ohger, we've had this sort of take back the kingdom arc, you could call it. And some of these episodes have been fantastic when it comes to character development and storytelling. And this episode was freaking great. A great Dabowski-focused episode, a great Kaguragi-focused episode, because, although I love Yanma, Dabowski's great as well, and going into this episode, I was worried, because Iroki is a character that was introduced in the King-Ohger movie, and if you watch it subbed through the Cat website or other memes, and you don't live in Japan, then you probably haven't seen this movie unless you found other ways to watch it. So I was worried going into this episode, being introduced to a movie character I had no idea what they're about. I was worried I'd get Kamen Rider Gaim syndromes where they introduce movie stuff into the episodes. That's what I was worried about. But this episode told the backstory on how Kaguragi became the ruler of Toufu, and the whole narrative of this episode is set up fantastically, as it does all these turns and twists as the episode goes through, and you try and discover, how did he become king? Why did all of this go down? Was Iroki evil? And did they become a terrible ruler? And that wasn't the case here. So, of course, you've got Glodi in this episode, or Glodi, whatever you want to call him, depending on your translation. We get to see his monster form, which is a Grim Reaper, but not only that, we're introduced to his powers, which has the ability to sort of temporarily shut down your senses, like vision and stuff like that, which is cool. I don't think they're dead. They do get destroyed at the end of this episode, but seeing how powerful the sort of space bugs are, they'll definitely be back in the next couple of episodes, leading into probably the big final arc, and they'll have the big one-on-one showdowns. Although these episodes were great to showcase what our heroes can do in these situations where they take back the kingdom, the battle is far from over, no doubt about it. And since Glodi or Grudy's immortal, because he's the Grim Reaper, they're probably not dead, no doubt about it. So, the backstory for Kaguragi, this was freaking fantastic, because the whole narrative that we learn in the flashback is we learn that Kaguragi and his sisters were rice farmers. They gave Iroki a taste of the rice. She really liked it. She wanted him to work for him and sort of produce the rice for the kingdom. And Dabowski, of course, took up the offer. And then you get this another jump cut to I guess a couple of days or weeks into the future, and you find out that the queen is hoarding all the rice from all the people, and it has the narrative that she's gone evil. She's hoarding all the food from the women and children. People are going to starve, so of course a rebellion forms. And one thing we've learned about Kaguragi's backstory is that he overtook his kingdom from this supposedly terrible ruler. That's the one thing that we've learned about. Him and his sister sort of took back the kingdom, he led a rebellion, and eventually he became the king. And here we learn about that backstory. So one thing I really do like about this backstory is Kaguragi goes into the sort of, the temple, sort of like the shrine, to take back the king, the sort of deal with the queen, and then it cuts back to him coming out. It's burning on fire, he's covered in blood, and then he's then declared the ruler. So this episode jumps between the past and the present, as you have Dabowski and Iroki having this sort of heart-to-heart talk, sort of this discussion, how they've changed over the past couple of years, which is something that I really did like. The actress who played Iroki is freaking fantastic. I love when we have human villains that aren't in monster suits, because those are the ones that can emote really well with the performance they put in there, and I really do hope that we see this actress again later down the line, because I feel like she did a fantastic job as this sort of stoic villain that sort of not looked down on everyone, but sort of talked in this sort of way she spoke to Kaguragi in the episode. I feel like if she plays a over-the-top villain, like how we had Machiko Soga back in the day, then I feel like she'd be well suited for that role, because I feel like Sentai needs to have more sort of human villains, like we had like Iroki, that'd be great. So, like I said, the narrative keeps jumping back and forth. And then you have this moment where Kaguragi, in the past, he's confronting her. She eats the rice and then she starts spitting out blood, because you soon find out that it's poisoned in the episode. But she asks Kaguragi to strike her down, but he refuses, so eventually she dies in the fire. So the whole twist in this episode is you find out that Glodi poisoned the rice back in the day, and he used Scorpy's poison, the same poison that he used to poison Himeno's parents, because, we have this little sort of like side gag going on where Gira and Yama and Himeno haven't eaten yet, so they sort of like pass out from food, and Glodi's preparing on rice for some reason, and before they eat it, Himeno's quick to notice the similar poison smell. So then we get this funny joke where Gira's like, oh, now children will learn the horrors of wasting food, and Yama gets angry as well. So we had that joke set up, but then again it leads to like the fight scene that we get earlier. So we soon find out that the whole reason why the rice was being hoarded was because it was poisoned, and then the queen burnt down the sort of shrine is to burn the rice as well. So that way, even if it was recovered, then no one would be eating the poison rice that they took back. So overweight, like in a way, she played herself to be sort of like the hero and the villain at the same time. But Dabowski will always be viewed as that hero that took back the kingdom. So I really like that heart-to-heart talk that the two characters have in the end, and they acknowledge each other's growth, and that was like really great. Like the scenes we get in this episode, like Dabowski's actor, really freaking fantastic. And again, this is one of those episodes where you don't need to have like all these fancy morphed fight scenes or all these fancy Zord scenes, which I do wonder what the heck's up with that. Like, are they sort of like saving the budget for later, or did they blow all the budget on the new sort of like, no, I wouldn't say that. We've barely seen the Kyoryuja Zord mech. We haven't really seen that combination since it debuted that often, so no idea what's going on here. But like I said, you don't need like fancy Zord fights or fancy suit fights in this episode to sort of tell the narrative. This was pure character driven in the end. And then the episode sort of has Dabowski fighting Kaguragi, and he's able to destroy him in the end. And then because like Kaguragi gets destroyed, the queen sort of like Thanos snaps away, and she's like proud of Dabowski and everything going on. So again, this was like another fantastic episode. I know I'm like all over the place recapping it, but like I said, I recapped it, I did the sort of play-by-play, but that's like the best thing you could do for this episode, because like I said, it was pure character driven, it was pure storytelling for these like heroes, for Dabowski. And I was like I said at the start of the review, I was worried that we would get introduced to like this movie villain that we knew nothing about if you hadn't seen the movie yet, because it's only available in Japan, and we had no idea what this character's about. I was worried they'd introduce all this lore they introduced into like the movie, but that isn't the case here. The movie isn't even brought up once to my knowledge while watching the episode, so that's fantastic that they didn't have to sort of like lean on the movie or like the audience to see the movie to sort of understand who this character is. They introduced her as like a brand new character who was the previous ruler of Toufu. Now the movie is coming out in early December, so once I'm able to acquire it on the Cat website, I will probably review it on the channel, because apparently it's going to have like a director's cut, so I'll definitely be watching that and I'll talk about it on the channel if there's a lot to talk about with the movie, so stay tuned for that. But yeah, this episode was fantastic. These Take Back the Kingdom episodes, they've been fantastic. The Yanma one was great, the Himeno one was pretty good, and the Dabowski one, that is like 5 stars, 10 out of 10. The Rita one looks like it's going to be serious but also wacky, goofy fun with sort of like the tone that it's going for in the preview, because the preview was much different than usual previews we get for King-Ohger, because it had sort of like different music playing instead of like the sort of epic music we get usually. So I'm curious to see what the Rita-focused episode is going to be about, because Rita was in the start of the episode when they confront Glodi, but then Rita just disappears and then they're never seen again. But either way, Fantastic episode, 10 out of 10. I freaking loved it. I probably rambled on enough about this episode, but King-Ohger, it's still slapping. I'm still loving it, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next. So with that said, I'm going to bring this video to a close. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.